Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about your safety running your business. And I'm not talking about theft or damage or something like that. I'm talking about the safety of your equipment, so to speak, your software, what you use to get on the net. For me, it's a laptop or server or PC tower, something along that line. We've got many of them. They are all hooked together in a server, so everything's run together so we can cross files, pull stuff from other locations. Now, the other day we had an issue and a fan went out. And a fan went out, overheated, and it burned out a board in the server. So, server was down. One of the things I can tell everybody out there who's using a laptop or a PC like us, which is honestly what I would recommend when you're doing volume, multiple sites, and the whole works, it's much easier, in my opinion, to do everything with a laptop or something at least a larger size with more storage, more options, and more abilities to it. But aside from that, you got to have backup for everything that you do and have. Now, in my case, if you have a piece of equipment out and you don't have access to it and you haven't backed anything up, every piece of information on your server, your laptop, PC could be gone. You could lose all of your content, all of your tax information, all of your sales records, all of your sales reports, your spreadsheets, everything could be lost. So for us, I back up everything. One of the key things in my arsenal is a Blu-ray drive, a portable external with some Blu-ray discs, and probably half of these are used, but this cost us probably $150 or so. It's a nice quality one. These are fairly decent price these days. I use these for everything. Back up everything. Not only should you back up everything for your records, your paperwork, and all of that aspect too, you should back up your PC, do a image of your hard drive. Save that. You can save it to a disk, you can save it to something else. You got to save copies of everything. If you get hit by lightning and you have no surge protectors, it could burn out part of your laptop as well. There's just so many reasons to back up everything. You can cloud compute if you want. I don't trust my information, nor do I allow it to be stored online anywhere. Everything is in hard copies. We do keep a hard copy off-premise as well in another location, so there's always a secondary spot. It's also backed up in many other areas. It's on a server, it's on the local laptop or PC as well, so there's several copies. We also use RAID, which basically makes a duplicate of everything the minute it's saved onto the laptop, PC, or whatever the case may be. That's another option. You have to have 2 hard drives to do that. Most people do. If you don't have 2 hard drives, even if you have a laptop, there's usually room for 2 hard drives in most laptops, but not all. Now, we usually get the 17.1, I think, is the screen size, the bigger ones, and there's more room in those to do things as well, too. So I like the bigger screens. It's better with doing some of the things that we do. So that is a huge thing that everybody should take seriously. Another issue all tied to this is changing your passwords all the time. Now, we have a rotation. Every 14 days, our password changes to a new one. Constantly, for everything we do online. That's just a given for us. There's no way a person has a chance to go in there and use the same one if they found it through a notorious means, because it's probably going to be changed at any point right off the bat. We do it all the time for everything. I keep a log. I know when to do it. We do it the same time every 2 weeks, twice a month, so it's real easy to do. You just pick a specific date you want to do it on, and that's the day you change your password. Something you should be doing with everything, your PayPal, your eBay, your Amazon, whatever platform or site you're on, you should change those constantly. Never ever let them run for more than 30 days at all. It's too much chance and too much risk. Other things that you should do, obviously, is have virus protection. And Malwarebytes is a free app or free program you can get that will actually check your system for other things like root issues and things like that. And Malwarebytes can check for, roots and all kinds of other hidden things in your system that can do damage. Trojan horses, basically, and things along that line that could have snuck into your system. Malware, basically. Malwarebytes does a very good job. Let's take a look at just a few of these things so you can get an idea on what we're talking about. If you've got Windows, this is a perfect example, too. I do use Windows, Microsoft-based stuff for most everything PC. I've used Mac in the past. And now I have a Linux system here, as well as most of the rest of them are Microsoft Windows applications. But those work great for us. It's easy to link them together. It's cheaper for us as well, and they do hold up fairly decently. So anyway, let's hop over to a screen, and we're going to just look and show you a few options and things you should do. Okay, so here is my desktop, and we're just going to go to settings. Now, this is version 10. I think version 7 has the same basic options. Most people I know have moved up to Windows 10. There's a few things that you can check for on any PC, no matter what it is. And one of those key ones is making sure that all your applications are up to date, so there's less chance of issue, less chance of being hacked, less issues in general. I update everything whenever I can. I've got Windows set up to automatically update right off the bat. Some things I do have to go in and check on also. So let's go here and do two separate things here. In fact, let's do this first. One thing I should tell you, you should always check is for Device Manager. And I know there's other options to do this. I just like Device Manager. Now, I've used Device Manager for, a decade or more. It's probably as far back as it's been around. Most people at least know what this is. From the settings, you can just type in Device Manager and it goes up to here. Now, I can almost guarantee you almost anybody who hasn't been in Device Manager or has a special program to do this is going to find some apps in here, some programs and such forth that need to be updated. Hardware, all kinds of different things. And usually it's related to your video card and things along that line. Possibly your internet connection, network adapters, all those types of things have to be updated. Windows itself, or whatever program you're running on, or operating system, OS, is not going to do that for you. So I've done this in I don't know how many people's computers, or helped them or told them to go through this. I don't know anybody who hasn't found something on here when they've looked through here. Now, I do this all the time, so there's nothing on mine. I'll even pay an employee for the 10 or so, 15 minutes it might take to do one or two laptops or PCs at the same time. This goes into the same thing on changing your passwords. This should be part of what you do, part of your business, part of your standard operating procedure. Every business in the real world does stuff like this. You change passwords, you make sure the software, hardware's all up to date as well too. With this here, you just pick something on here that you haven't used and update the drivers on it is what you need to do. And I go through from top to bottom on everything in here. Now, again, I've already done this, so I doubt we're going to see anything in here, but it just takes a few moments. Sometimes on like your video cards and things like that, it might take a few moments. You'll see it downloading, and then installing for several minutes even, because it's actually installing software to this. This is easy. It's not really much way to mix it up. You're not doing anything else other than clicking a few buttons, in all honesty. So it's not like having to run through an app or anything like that. I recommend this to anybody. And again, Device Manager's been around for a very long time. So I probably as far back as maybe Millennial Edition or something like that, you could probably do the exact same thing here. And it works. It updates pretty much everything you could imagine. That doesn't get caught by Windows, I should say. And I've gone through here. I do update BIOS when that comes out too, so I'm not going to go ahead and tell you, hey, you should go and mess with your BIOS, but if you've got some skill, you can probably find a video on YouTube on how to do it, in all honesty. I updated them, and it actually adds features as well. This may not sound like something that's all that important, but everything has to be up to date to stop risks. Some of these apps and programs that you run, there's been glitches in ways hackers can get in through those, and there's patches that have been sent out. And unless you do this, you're not going to get those patches. It's a safety thing. Now, our server went down because of a burnout from being overheated. It's been in a box. I built like a cabinet for it, and I didn't even think to check it. I checked pretty much everything else, and we vacuum and clear off all the fans and the grates and everything on every other unit, but that one unit was my fault for missing it. But it's just another thing that, you write down and it doesn't happen again. I know this may not seem like something good or something that's worth your time, but in all honesty, if you're doing a home business like this, this is your livelihood. You can't get much worse than having whatever device you use to store all your information and get online and list and sell and pack to go down. If that goes down, you could be out of business for a certain length of time. If you've got backup disks, as I said, of everything, no matter what happens, even if your system gets burned up or whatever the case may be, your files are safe. The files are what's important. You can replace a laptop any day of the week, pretty much 24/7 at a Walmart in most towns, but you can't replace that information easily at all. I know there's cloud, as everybody says, but they can be hacked. There can be so many other issues with it. What if their server goes down? I know most of them have redundancy, chip array or anything else that may be out there that they have. But still, I like to have access to my personal data. And as I've said, almost every single person that I know that's went through this has found something, and it has fixed or sped up systems. Again, this isn't some miracle, but if you've been running the same thing, you haven't updated. I've seen people using BIOS that's like 10 plus years old on systems still. So, keep that in mind when you're out there and you're looking into this kind of stuff. So now I always check for updates. It automatically updates every Tuesday night if you didn't know that. Just leave your computer on. It'll update while you're sleeping. You can set it to update whenever you want. You can have it download and update it later. Whatever the case may be, it just runs at night, all of ours. So they're all done on Tuesday night. So if you're going to have an issue, it's usually going to happen Wednesday morning if you didn't know that. But if everything's up to date, you're keeping up with the latest security and all of that kind of stuff, you shouldn't have any issue. Another thing is creating a restore point. Now just type in restore point and you're going to see create a restore point. And if you look right down here at the bottom under system protections, create a restore point right now for the drives that have system protection turned on. You create it. You can type it whatever you want. I usually put the date that I did it on, that I created it. So I always know which version is which. If you created one yesterday, it'll just add another one to that. This is basically a copy or an image of your drive. So if something happens, it can roll back to exactly that point. So if your computer crashes later, you can come back and restore it from a restore point. This is an essential thing that everybody who uses Windows should do. It'll save you a world of pain if something does crash. And there it is. That's all there is to it. So now we have a restore point. And one more thing that we can do. From here, we can go to backup. And then if you go down to see where it says looking for an older backup, you click that down there. It's going to open up this screen here. Now you can create a system image. It'll create an identical copy of the hard drive, all the system files. You can include extra drives as well of everything on your PC. Everything. Laptop, PC, whatever the case may be. And you can store them again on disks just like this. So all you got to do basically then when this happens is recover it from the disks and you're good to go. You don't lose anything. I do back up important files, as I said, constantly, at least once a week, sometimes at the end of the day, depending on what we're doing. All the sales, all my records, everything that I have is updated and saved constantly. That is a big key thing here too. Now you can also create a system repair disk off of here. You can figure out where you want it. Now I don't have my Blu-ray drive hooked up right now, so it doesn't show it. But if you had more than one drive, you would just select it here and then click create. It's going to create a disk that will allow you to fix your system if something happens. It'll let you get in there. It works great. Have backups of everything. Have recovery disks. Again, this is key, 100% important to have these for your business. You don't want to have to be rushing in, taking your computer into somewhere because you don't have backup for it. If you do these few simple things I've showed you here, everything will be up to date. Everything will be backed up. You'll have hard disk copies of everything, and you're going to be just fine. You can take those Blu-ray discs to your accountant or whatever the case may be with files on them. He can have a hard copy, whatever the case may be. I keep hard copies of the files for my taxes with my taxes. So something I do, I keep them in a fireproof box as well. So at least I have stuff. I do print out even paper copies of all of our tax forms, but not every single file we do. I also keep SD cards of the same material somewhere else also. So I try to keep as much double leverage copying of everything I can do as much as possible. It's just a safety feature. It will save your business. Every company I've ever worked for had some backup system in play for every single system that they ran, whether it was the micros that ran the registers and the ringing systems and things like that, or your payroll or your labor hour tracking. All that stuff was all backed up constantly. At the end of the day, whenever I ran reports and sales figures were in, we backed up the hard drive every single night at every place I worked, basically. Now, if you weren't a manager, you didn't run that aspect of it, or it wasn't your job, you may not realize that. But almost every store, company, business in the real world on brick and mortar wise has, backups like that. Back in the day it was tape backups and things. I do have a safety plus and a net plus, so I'm very cautious on what I do, and I dig into this stuff and I take this very seriously. This is the bread and butter. If something goes haywire, or I'm hacked or anything else, I could be out of business. So that's why it's so important to do all of these little aspects. A couple hours a week you should set aside for doing this kind of stuff. In a real business, that's what happens. Maybe you're not big enough and you don't think it's that important, but if your laptop goes down, your PC, even with your phone, if you have documents and your taxes stored on there, it's just not really possible to recover sometimes. I know Apple products may be a different story, but if you're not syncing or anything, you do have issues. So this is Malwarebytes. This is an application that you should download. There's a free version of it. You don't have to pay for it. This will find Trojan horses basically in your system. Malware obviously as well. So this will help get rid of ransomware and rootkits and things like that have been attacked. This will clean up a lot of that junk. Most people, if they run this and haven't run it before, will find something on their system that shouldn't be there. Now, there's other things you can do with this, but I just usually use the free version of this. It's a good safety feature. Just check this, say, once a month, maybe every other week if you're heavy on the things online like us. So just a FYI, I always use this. It's on every system that we have. Everywhere. Every system we have has Malwarebytes that's run. You can set it up to run automatically as well, too. And one other thing I use is Parted Magic. This is an application that will allow you to do a disk cloning, where you can clone an image file of your drive, like a picture of it, and it'll record everything on there. So if something happens to that drive, you bring the disk back up, and you can put it right back in place, an exact copy of what was there before. So nothing harmed, nothing lost, other than your time to fix it. This will also do disk erase and data rescue. This is something that I've used for quite some time. It has some other features. Those are the key ones that I have used off of this. It's something I've used for a while. I do use some other Linux disks like Backtrack. I still have a version of Backtrack that I do use that'll get you into most any system, even Windows 10 if you're locked out. I can get in with that still. Cloning your disk is really the best way to go because it's quicker. It stores everything on an image file basically, and you're good to go. You can put it on a network, a server, or anything else like that also. So anyway, that's about it for today. Well, there you are. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.